presented this business to the church, so he will make the motion, the opening motion that will discuss the items that you see on the agenda. We'll need someone to second that, and then it'll be opened up for discussion. It's great that there's a lot of people here, and so what that means is we want to make sure if you have an opinion, a question, a discussion point you want to offer, we want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to do that. So what I ask is, once Jerry presents the motion, explains what it is, and we open it up for discussion, if you want to comment, ask a question, please raise your hand, just state your name, so everybody knows who's talking. I will, as I'm sure, obviously, hands will go up at the same time. I'm going to do my best to keep, know who's has their hand raised and calling you, and I'll try to do it in the order that the hands are raised. Please try to respect that and not interrupt, because then side conversations happen, and it's just really hard to hear, and it's very important that we all hear what each other is saying. I feel like a point has been belabored or it's just been repeated over and over again, I will respectfully, note that and say, can we move on? Because again, we have a lot to cover and we don't want to be, we want to respect your time as well, but at the same time, respect everybody's right to have an opinion and discuss in this special meeting, okay? And then once we feel that the discussion's concluded, there'll be a call for a vote. I'll ask if everyone feels like they're ready to vote on the items that we do have to vote, and then we'll do the yay-nay thing. And we need 2/3 majority. So I think everybody's in, so let me recount again. You can count for me too, because it's just another, so I'll know what 2/3 is.
You don't need a majority vote. You need a majority vote.
Yes.
2/3.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have 30 seconds. Tim, you ready to go? All right. So this call to order for the special meeting of the Congregational Church of Burlington on Sunday, June 9th, 2003. I'd like to open it up for motion. Oh, sorry. It's 11:35 a.m. First order of business is an opening prayer, please. Reverend Taylor. Or anyone want to do it?
Everybody's always volunteering for that job, aren't they? Oh, I know, I'd be glad to do it. If you do it, that's great. Yeah, I was just joking.
No, I'd like to just say a quick prayer that thank you for everyone for taking time out on such a beautiful day. It's hard to be here when we all want to go do other things, so thank you for coming. And the business committee worked hard on evaluating not only the stuff you see before you, but things that we did not even bring to you because of the limitations of our budget and also priorities. So know that we put a lot of hard work into this and hope for a really good discussion, and the recommendations we brought forth we feel are the ones that are the best interest of the church now and in the long-term future. Hopefully you guys will see that, we'll have a good discussion, and the best part of all is that we'll vote as a congregation to make decisions to determine our future. God give us the strength to evaluate and to make the vote appropriate. Thank you. Amen. Business committee would like to put a motion on the table. It is our recommendation to use Stevenson Services out of Bristol, Connecticut to replace our leaking steeple, chapel, and sanctuary rooftops, not to exceed $30,000 to be paid from our building fund.
Do I have a second? Charlie seconds it. Thank you. Okay, we'll open up for discussion and questions.
Don't I get the floor?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I reviewed all this last night. Sorry. As the person who made the motion, Jerry gets to talk first, and we'll elaborate, and then we'll open it up for discussion. Thank you.
It's kind of like marriage. You got to work it out as
I
you
know.
go. So there you go. so I'll give you the business committee overview of the recommendation and why we support this action. Several quotes are required, and all came in around the Stevenson Services quote of a total amount of $27,210. Charlie Butt actually has a long time relationship with the owner, the company and the owner, who is a recognized steeple and clock tower expert, I believe, in the world, not just nationally, but definitely in Canada and the United States. He was here, checked everything out personally, so he did see what was up there. They were up on the roof, they were in the back on the bell tower. So what we found is the current rooftops are leaking, and already had one major repair to the steeple, thanks to Alan, using his civil engineering to jack it back up and keep it from falling down. The water damage is real, it's continuing every time. I bet you that last rainstorm we just had did some water damage in there. The current rooftops were designed for 20 years, so past the useful life because they were installed in 1989, at least the main sanctuary and chapel roofs. And let's see, the new roofs we're looking at to put on are 40-year roofs. Roofs, I don't know how to really say that. I looked that up on the dictionary and online, and you can say it both ways. So the rooftops are 40 years, so we actually, spare several generations of having to go through this again. So this is really going to, button it down for us for a while. And it's simply better shingle technology. There's for people that know this stuff, they're using the old tab shingles, and they're just not as good as they are today. So it's typical over time. The good news about this project, while it is with about a 10% cost overrun, which you should budget into any major project, that's why we said up to $30,000. The good news is that we feel that we can pay back, the building fund can be paid back over the next 2 to 3 years with the Raise the Roof Buy a Bundle campaign. The committee thought that we know we need 144 bundles to do all of shingles to do this roof, all this work. So in order to complete the project, if a family, individual, or business buys a bundle for approximately $210, well, that's one out of the 144. We can do half bundles, quarter bundles, whatever we can do over a 2 to 3 year period, we can pay ourselves back. We do have the building fund to front the money, and then we'll do the Raise the Roof Buy a Bundle campaign over the next few years to pay ourselves back. So that's the plan. This building has been at this location since 1836, thanks to our treasurer/historian pointing that out to me. And it's our duty to keep this building sound. And unfortunately, or fortunately, our roof is pretty important to keeping it sound. And we've already seen one major issue because of the leaking. So the goal, the last point is by doing this meeting now, the work is to be done in the summer months, so that when we come back in September, we're good to go. So that's all I had from the business committee.
Can you tell the congregation a little bit about the building fund, where it comes from, what it's used for? It obviously sounds self-explanatory, but it has a history. Maybe people don't know, so they would be more informed about that if you would. Could you, somebody? Thank you.
Paul Cornish, the treasurer. The building fund was actually established in the early 80s when we sold an acre of land to the town of Burlington for library expansion. And that at the time was about a $65,000 fund that was established. It's currently, at the end of 2012, that fund had $54,000 available in it, so we have used it previously to do painting projects. And in good times, that fund has earned interest, of course. In bad times, it has lost a little bit as well. We've had good return on our investments so far this year, so actually that fund has grown about 6%. So the current value is approximately $57,000. So this project, being a $30,000 project, will deplete just over half of that fund.
Thank you.
Dave?
Yeah, wasn't there's something tricky about the roof around the steeple? Is that something that was taken into account?
Yes. Yeah, they were up there, they looked, and when they get the actual lift, they'll know definitely what has to be done, but he has a good, based on our conversation we had him on speakerphone, Liz was also there, he's pretty confident he knows what needs to be done, and that there really won't be any overruns to this project.
Is this a re-roof, or rip-off, or? or what?
Yeah, the, was it stripping and replacement?
Ken?
Not sure if this is a registered historic building, but in fact, if it is, has anybody ever looked into getting some kind of state grant or grants from some historic preservation, maybe trying to get some of this stuff?
We are not a historic building, so we have not looked into that. Just as a side note, there is talk about making a historic district. I've heard it coming out of Congo, nothing really been happening in this area yet.
Alan?
Man, probably 2 or 3 questions. But so there's no structural work in this in terms of like replacing some of that deteriorated timbers and things like that. We're not doing any of that stuff?
So the question was, is there any deterioration, structural deterioration timbers that need to be replaced?
There's nothing identified other than getting up there, getting that roof in, and making the water go the way it should.
So we're not addressing the deteriorated timbers, I mean, like the main posts and stuff? So we're not.
That's not this
We're not
project.
doing anything structural.
No. Infrastructurally, structurally sound for a little longer.
And so my second question is, so this roofing, it seems like an awful lot of money to me. But I take it there's this feeling that we need to replace the roof under the bell. I mean, the main roof, that's all being replaced?
Correct. There's been leaking into this area, Paul, you can probably speak more of that.
Actually, the area, once you get to the bell level, those are essentially tin roofs that are interlaced together.
Right.
And the area under the bell, that's intended for water to come in from the upper levels, and there's a complete ceiling or a complete roof on that level underneath the bell. So just for those who haven't been up there. And so, to Alan's question, that roof is, from the roofers that were here, they're saying that that's probably over 100-year-old tin roof that's been interlaced together there. They're actually not going to replace that. They're going to, especially at the bell level, they're going to inspect it and either repair or possibly coat the outer edges so that that's protected, and they're going to recheck the flashings around the posts and the corners. On the upper levels, they're actually going to apply a type of a membrane type roof over those sections, where the roofs around the let's see, there are 3 tiers to the tower. The ones above the bell are just like a little wedding cake extension. That's all you have, is just a 18-inch surround of roofing. What they're going to do on those levels is they're going to reestablish, because when the tower moved a few years ago, it actually changed the pitch of those sections. When Alan and the team jacked that back up and got the tower into position, they were able to get the structure aligned. What this contractor is going to do is he's going to realign the roofing panels and then coat that, or reflash and coat that. So he's very familiar with this type of structure. He's used these type of materials before in this exposure of the tower, which actually gets sunlight, it gets the wind. I mean, that even on a calm day, there's a pretty good. The air is always moving up at that level. So he's very experienced in working on historic buildings, church structures, other buildings with similar type of roofing challenges. So we're trusting his opinion on that. We did have a second quote from a local group out of West Hartford. Their quote was very similar, and their recommendations were very similar. So they came in just over his quote. They were just over $28,000. So we did have a second quote to do the entire, prepare the entire project.
I wonder whether or not we should be spending, if we're gonna spend that amount of money and get this thing, why we're not addressing the structural issues up there. Rather than spend
elaborate, Ellen, if you could please, what you believe the structural issues are, so we have a better understanding of what we're talking about?
I don't, you know, I'm not sure how many years ago it was, but I mean, what was it, like 5 years ago or something, or 6, I don't know. But there was this stain up there in that corner, you can still see it like that light, and there's water that started to trickle down there. And what it's, when you go up there, and I could send you pictures and stuff, but it seems like back when they did the work in '89, there was a low spot on the middle roof that was collecting water in the corner. And it seems like the water must have been trickling down that, getting inside, coming down one of the timber posts there. It had to be 20 years because there was so much rot and deterioration. And it seemed like at that time, the water was coming in down into this space because there was this one main timber column right there in the corner that was getting all rotted out, and all the water was running down that column. And that seems hard to see as though how the water was getting in there. But I mean, those columns are pretty, I mean, they're not in great shape. I mean, we've kind of propped things back up there with some other stuff. I just wonder whether or not we should be doing some more work at the same time or something. But, you know,
So
but
the
it's
question, to summarize the questions, it was structural repair work looked at as part of this project with timbers and supporting beams of the shaft of the tower.
This is a difficult part, as anyone who's been on the business committee knows. There's more to do than we can possibly do. We just don't have the funds to do all that stuff, so yes. We did talk a little bit about the inside, but the reality was it's the water that's causing a lot of this damage. And the roof experts that went up there said you're getting damage from this water getting into your structure. And David now knows from being in insurance, that's the worst thing in the world you can have inside your walls running down through things. So the hope is by alleviating the water, that buys us time to start thinking about how we can get to the next step. And have you come up in the tower with us again and tell us what to do.
Liz?
Just to kind of reiterate, kind of table on what Alan has said, we did get pictures taken from when they were here, I think when Stevenson was here, pictures were taken. And of the shingles, there are distinct holes from where there were nails at some point that are no longer there. So there's water going into these nail holes that's just gonna seep right into the roof itself, and it's just gonna keep going until it finds a good place. So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as for the business committee, is to make sure we strip all that off, see what is underneath, and then in part of the scope of the quote, it also includes some repair for the roof if there's damage to the actual roof.
Jerry?
Just also, one thing I did not mention, and I'd love to mention, is whatever we're doing on these roofs can move with us. So we did take that in mind. And as we do the Raise the Roof Buy Bundle program, we start paying ourselves back. That's part of the hopes, was that as we replenish, now we can go in and finish up that steeple. I mean, that's part of it. I don't know though, I mean, as you know, who knows if we're getting enough money for that.
Dave?
Dave Dixon, is the company that we're going to hire, do they have the capacity to do structural repairs?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think they do. That's something we can confirm.
Would it make some sense, while we're talking about this, to ask them to give us a quote on the structural repairs? Because if that quote is $10,000 now, if we wait 5 more years, that quote may be $20,000. I mean, it's going to escalate just because of the delay inherent in waiting.
We could ask them to get a quote. I still think we should hold it out separate. They're up there to do it. I
Okay?
mean, does anyone else disagree?
I think Sarah was first.
I just had a clarification question. These timbers, are these timbers in the steeple, timbers in the supporting beams, and what are these timbers that you're talking about?
Oh. I mean, but there's one distinct area, it's the corner of the steeple is falling over our heads here, is where the real troubles are. And Yeah, when you're talking about, because, in '89, in 1989, that was the big renovation, and they had the whole steeple all opened up at that time. And they replaced some corner timbers on the front side at that time. And the one that's deteriorated now is left there. But I think that's had water on it for a long, long time to get the amount of deterioration that's there. I mean, I guess it can stay, sort of, but, you know, I don't know. I just wonder though, by the time we got people up there, I don't know, we should really talk about possibly doing some improvements and things up there.
Are they, I guess, are these people, like you said, are they qualified to say yay or nay? I mean, obviously this is what we do for a living, and I would imagine that roofers would have that knowledge, but you want to make sure that they are qualified to say, yes, this is safe, or no, this is not safe.
I can speak to that. They do understand tower structures. They do understand that. Whether they can repair them themselves, that will be a question we can go back to them about. I'm with you. I think they probably do the whole thing. But we did not focus in on them repairing the inside, though they did look at all that stuff. They were inside, looked at everything. And they didn't point out anything like, oh, well, maybe you should go off on the roof because of. So they were in there. So.
Yeah, and I think we did some stuff I would call more temporary to
Right.
stabilize it and things, but, you know, because I know a group of us over, you know, some months and things, we did have some new training members and things up there that we can stabilize.
Okay, Deb.
I would like to recommend that the business committee goes back to this company, finds out if they can fix it structurally, and while we're taking money out of the building fund, raise that to, if it's 40,000 or 45,000, being that we've got the money in there, fix it now so we don't have to fix it later.
Jerry.
I would like to keep them separate because we gotta get moving on these projects and the timings of these projects. In fact, he's waiting for us this way, he can do us this summer. But add it as another project to find out if they can do it, which when they book us, now they can get up there and start looking and can they do it, which would still be just an add-on, just as if we said. I just don't wanna give up the roof time, because if we miss them this summer, I don't think we can get it done this year. And leaking is severe.
Yeah, so to do that, like I think we have to amend the motion, so either you want to, so we can just throw out there, we don't have to decide right now, but the motion was for the roof only. So I guess there's two things, we could accept that, you know, vote on that as it's stated, and then as a second act would be what Deb suggested, or we would need to amend the motion that's on the table, so we won't talk, you know, just think about that and take more
Dave
questions.
Dixon. Yeah, I would be supportive of the motion, and what you're suggesting, in terms of having them examine the structure while they're doing this or preparing to do this work. My question is, if there are structural repairs that need to be done, and we're going to be doing roofing at the same time, I would want to make sure that if we decided for financial reasons or whatever else to not do the structural work now, that we haven't hurt ourselves by doing all the roofing work first and coming back a year later to do structural work that may cause problems with the work that we had just completed with the roof.
Yeah, I mean,
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think that's prudent. I mean, I think we can get them up here into this tower probably relatively quickly and have that answered. I mean, even if we're approved with it, as you know, with the next topic, it doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna move fast. If something snags us, we're not just gonna move forward. So I'm okay, I mean, anybody else in the business committee, what do you think of that?
Charlie?
Steve, I've been in business for many years, and this is not his first church, and I know that he's faced structural damage before. And I can probably call him tonight. He's been working in New Jersey, probably next week. He could look and look at the structure again.
I think I had John, and Ken. John, go ahead. And then-
Well, somebody ought to think about taking the whole thing down, patch it up, and then when they move the church, put a new steeple up. Something to think about. You're talking, $50,000, $60,000, and it's gonna be thrown away otherwise.
Ken?
Are they gonna have to scaffold the church to do, the whole church to do this?
I don't know
The
exactly.
question was, do you have to scaffold the whole church to do this?
Yeah, Charlie, do you have any, I know they have a machine that can go up 100 feet and they move it around.
They have to
Scaffolding,
They're gonna bring a lift in here, plus a ladder.
lift and ladders.
Sometimes if you're gonna do the other type of work, plus scaffolding, they have equipment on site. It's like, sometimes you do a repair in your car, you might as well change that belt because it just took off the transmission, type of thing. So it may be cheaper if this equipment all on site, and then to come back and do something, 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road. I don't know that either.
Deb?
Well, I heard motion here, you're saying the chapel also needs roofing. Couldn't they have two teams, one works on the roofing of the chapel while somebody's fixing the structural damage before they re-roof the whole church?
I don't do what they do, so I would assume that's how they would do it. Whatever works best on their project plan.
It just seems logic to fix the structural, because if we say a year from now we're gonna do it, you're gonna ruin all that roofing all over again, and we're gonna have to re-roof it? That'll be another $1,000 to re-roof it.
Well, let me address that concern. We won't roof it if there is structural damage. We will have enough common sense to say, hold off, just like we do with the parking lot, trying to do other things. So if they do deem that that structure is bad in there, now they've been in there and they didn't mention that. That's why we didn't focus on it. So if they go in there and say, yeah, you probably should do it, or no, you got plenty of time. And then we can work on saving up some money over 4 or 5 years through the raise the roof buy a bundle, and you start getting money back and say, hey, can this last 3, 4, or 5 years? What's the useful life left? And when do we really have to address it? That's what I prefer to do, because we got other expenses coming up, as you'll soon hear.
Dave?
I think, just to try and sum everything up, it sounds like we are going to do it in 2 different steps. $30,000 up to $30,000 for the roof and that, but we all are going to have them come in and look at it before we do that. Is that correct? Right, John? That's what you're saying?
Sorry?
You're going to have him come in and look at it before he even does the work specifically. So that if he looks at it and he says there's major structural damage, then it's gonna be up to the business committee to come back to the congregation and say, okay, we ran into, we had him look at it, this is what we're seeing. So I'm just trying to get us to move, because we're gonna get stuck on trying to do this one part.
Charlie, go ahead, Charlie.
Oh,
Go ahead.
He also told me he has a big job, he's gotta start in Newark this year, and, he'd like to have an answer from us to get on his agenda. So,
Okay, we have a time constraint
so
here.
there's a time frame.
Decision constraint based on availability. Okay, Dave?
I just want, Dave Dixon, I just wondered, based on everything that we've talked about, it seems to make a lot of sense. Terry, are you able or willing to amend your motion to summarize what we have just discussed, what Dave just stated?
Are you, all right.
Wait, maybe could you reread the motion exactly as you presented it, and then
So just rereading the original motion that's on the table. It is our recommendation to use Stevenson Services to replace our leaking steeple, chapel, and sanctuary rooftops not to exceed $30,000 to be paid from our building fund. Now, if I'm hearing correctly, and I have no idea, Alan, maybe you can throw out a number here. What would you estimate it would be? A $10,000 project up there to fix what you think's wrong up there?
No, it's probably more than that. I mean, one time, we once dragged somebody out here some years ago, and they wanted like $27,000, to do structural stuff. But, you would think that it should be less than that if they're mobilized, but if I were gonna guess, I'd probably say, might want to be prepared for 15.
Dave?
My suggestion is if you want to amend it, like you say, it is our recommendation to use Stevens Services to replace our leaking steeple, chapel, sanctuary rooftops, not to exceed $30,000 for the roofing and we will have, or something to the effect of, and we will have him verify structural integrity while he's there. But that way you're separating the two, because the structural integrity is not gonna be part of the 30,000. However, it could be something that we have to have on anyone, and not put a number on it because we have no idea what the number should be.
Hang on, Julie. George?
George Spencer, just, looking at this, there's a whole lot of roof between sanctuary and chapel. You know, what portion is really our steeple? This is primarily, I understand, but I mean, you take that little bitty steeple up there compared to all this other roof. Most of the money, I believe, is going to these two large roofs. I think we should get our roofs fixed. If the steeple cannot be fixed, it's just gonna take off of this bill right now until other things can get done. So rather than amend your motion or anything, to go ahead, let's get our roofs fixed, stop the leaks that we can, and if for some reason the steeple isn't worth re-roofing, then we sit back here again.
And we did look at possibly splitting up the projects that way, because could we save money? The reason we won't the entire project is simply the cost savings of $10,000 or $12,000 of not doing, let's say, the steeple, almost disappears once the equipment leaves and has to come back.
I think I'm being a little misunderstood. If it's decided the steeple can't be roofed because of the structural,
Right.
it's taken off. Why waste the money of putting a
Oh,
roof
yeah,
that's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
fall? That's all.
Yeah, no, I think that's an agreement, and maybe I wasn't, yeah, good, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what we would do as a business committee, say, listen, even though we're approved, we cannot do this because, so we have to come back to you with a new plan for that part. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's how we would handle it, we have to handle it that way.
Right.
Charlie?
You want me to try to get my phone?
No.
No. Well, thank you. Is there any other discussions? Okay, so, current motion on the table.
I second.
I,
I didn't actually make a motion.
no, so I guess, so I'm gonna call for a vote on the motion. I don't,
Can we
God, this is a
amend?
good one. I know.
You
Do
want
I,
to amend it to something.
do we want to call for an amend, a motion to amend?
Yes.
Is there a call for a motion to amend? Dave?
Yep.
Is there a second? Okay, Paul. Let's please state the amendment to the motion, as best as you can. Dave?
I would leave the motion, okay. It is our recommendation to use Stevenson Services to replace our leaking steeple, chapel, and sanctuary rooftops, not to exceed $30,000 for the roofing aspect. We will then have the business committee investigate the structural integrity of the steeple prior to having the steeple part roofed. Make sense? Is that?
Well, you'd have Stevens investigate.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Have Stevenson-
You get Stevens to investigate and provide a quote
for the structural
for
integrity.
structural work if there is, you know, as required. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's see. I have, somebody is, doing a
I'm
good
trying to
job
catch
here.
up.
Give her a second to catch up, and then she'll clean it up, and we'll reread it again.
I think out loud here, because I know what we're trying to say. Can we say, on the amendment part, I'm not gonna read the first part again. Can we say that Stevenson will determine if it's structurally, if the integrity of the structure warrants doing the roof? If not, we come back with a quote, the congregation. Because if they say it's good to go, then we should go. And would you say 5 years? If they say we got 5 years, that's good to go? Unless they say we have to rip the whole roof off, then we're gonna. So we will take in all the feedback we get from them.
Okay, so I think,
Let's reread that.
let's reread that, so,
Rereading the whole thing. First part, as
the first sentence as stated, the amendment is an, addition, the second, the amendment is to add on.
And the add-on is have the business committee, have Stevenson investigate and give us a quote regarding the integrity of the steeple before roofing, the steeple area, and then come back to the congregation if needed, if we have to make any repairs.
That sound good?
Second.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the amended motion.
I have a motion to accept the amended motion. Do I have a second? Second. All right, several seconds. Any further discussion on the amended motion? Okay, call for a vote. Please, no, I know. I gotta call. Okay, all in favor, please raise.
Keep your hand raised so we can count.
Okay.
Sorry. So it's good to know. Yeah.
I think I got 36. I think it's unanimous.
No.
No, oh, no, sorry. All against, any opposed? 1, 2, 2,
Extension?
any abstentions? Alright, so let's see. That was 2, let's see. Not raise your hand. Sorry, one more time. No, you don't have to raise your hand. I'm just trying to get the total. Just correct it too. Okay, so 36 total, we had 2 extensions, so the vote was 34 to 2. Did I say extension? Sorry, 34 names. 34 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain. So the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so the second item, or the marked as number 3 on our agenda, is just an informational update. There's no vote on this one, because the business committee wanted to give an update.
I think everyone's got the agenda, so I'll go real quick through it. From 2011, we got approved to do up to $15,000 to get that water line in. Because we were trying to dovetail other projects into it. You know, it was end of 2011, we couldn't get anything done in 2012, so here we are in 2013, it's get it done. So we have moved forward with Andrews Perry as the contractor. You'll see the figures there. We talked, Torrington Water Company shared the frontage fee, 385 square feet, 385 feet of frontage. Comes out to the total that's on here, 6491. I talked to Ted Schaefer, I went down and visited him at Town Hall to see if we could get a payment plan that was amenable to us, instead of having to do a $6,400 bill. Torrington Water Company had suggested, they go, we don't care how we're paid, just as long as it comes from the town. So the good news is Ted had already talked to them and said, we're amenable to 5 years, and with some language in there, if we need more time, maybe we can negotiate an extension. So it looks like we're gonna have 5 years, which is about $1,200, a little over $1,200 a month, a year to pay for that. And the only outstanding thing, which we're kind of researching right now, is a plumber. It could be anywhere between $500 to $1,000, depending on it. So we're gonna have this done. June 24th is the end of the school year. I asked Andrews Perry, how fast can you get in here once we get the plumber figured out? And they said, we should be able to get in here, you know, if not before 4th of July, right after. So we're hoping sometime by mid-July to have that all done. They're gonna cut and they're gonna repatch it. So, that's it.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
What kind of interruption, anything to the parking lot that we have to worry about?
Yeah, the only interruption, the reason we wait till after school is because obviously, you know, people are on vacation. And we don't have Cub Scout meetings, we don't have a lot of the business, we have very little light on the business committee meetings. Is the morning of Mondays and Fridays. We will still have AA in here. may have to tell them maybe to park up in that lot if it just so happens they can't get to a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. It's a one-day project. They're gonna cut, hook us up, get us, and get it back in. I'm assuming the patching will be that day, that might be the next day, just depends.
So it'll be done before church.
Oh, yeah, all this was, and I had to talk to Andrew, so we need this done. And he said, no problem. So that's it, I just wanna let you know, we're actually gonna do it. And it's gonna come in about $11,000, maybe even a little less, so that's less than the $15,000 we were approved for. So, that's good news.
At one point, we discussed irrigation. Are we gonna, as part of this project, are we gonna tap off that line and sub it off in the direction of the lawn for any future irrigation?
No, that is part of the delays that we had last year, our inability to get financial commitment and plans together to do that. So what I'm doing though, I'm working with, well, not working with, but talking to Joanne Reese to find out how much of that, the Michael Reese fund we have accessible to us. And if we have an amount that I'm hoping she says we have, we are gonna approach Andrew Spring and say, hey, can you cut across and do it now because we have this money. But we don't know if we have that money yet, so we can't hold this project up not knowing that. So, but we are aware we have to do something with it, we're kind of dictated changes in plans.
Okay, and the last, topic for discussion, and this will be a voting topic. So we'll handle it similar to the first one.
Just pass these out.
Okay, I can do that, Jerry. And same deal, Jerry, as the business committee chair, will be, stating the motion, and then we'll do the statement. And there's some informational, supplemental information from the
Also, secret voting that while the lift is here, that we could use it to clean the church, outside of the church. Talking about cleaning, and so it's available for us to use, so.
Okay, don't get too fixated on those numbers yet, because we'll get to it. Everyone got a sheet that wants one? All right. It is our recommendation, I'm putting a motion on the table, it's our recommendation as business committee to withdraw necessary funds estimated to be approximately $18,000 from the church move fund to eliminate the anticipated 2013 operational budget deficit.
Is there a second for that motion on the table? Okay, Dave seconds. We're gonna open up to Jerry now, as they made the motion to give more information, and then we'll open up the floor for discussion.
As we know as a congregation, this is old news. We've been talking about this for several years, about the general fund getting depleted, getting further and further towards zero. Unfortunately, it happened. End of May, we've depleted the general fund. As a business committee, we have fiduciary responsibility to this church to keep it operational, meaning we have to pay our bills. We must pay our staff. We have to continue doing the 501c3 requirements of the church. In order to do that, we need our operational budget. So this was not done lightly. It's actually one of the tougher things as a business committee chair, to be honest with you, to be in this position. But the reality is, the projected total deficit for 2013 is going to be about $27,000. In the past, the general funds covered the deficits, and we have used approximately $9,000 this year, which was, as I just mentioned, depleted as of May 31st. Now that it's depleted, the committee is looking for authorization from this church move funds to meet our fiduciary responsibilities. And quite honestly, pledging is the entire reason, almost the entire reason we have a $27,000 deficit. Let's see, I think, yeah. So I had something typed on my notes that was a duplicate. But if you look at when we do the operational budget, we anticipate X amount in pledging, and we always go with a faith-based budget, but we did not get the budget numbers. They're not coming in on target, which is why we've depleted. If you kind of look at the chart I just handed out now, I kind of will explain why we chose that fund. You know, one of the reasons we chose the church move funds is there's no real tangible plans to move this church in 12 to 24 months. There could be beyond that, but right now there is not. There's no working plans. The building fund, as we just know, is being used for the roof and water projects. And we do have ongoing needs like painting, ground maintenance, etc., that the building fund is used for. We're judiciously not doing things. We chose not to paint. I know there's a lot of people that want to paint. We cannot pay for painting out of that building fund because of the other thing. We're hoping that we can get people to help paint, especially when these tall boy things are around. But again, you know, it's asking for volunteers, and you know how that is. It's hit and miss. So the reason we chose the church move fund is if you look at this exhibit, through 6/8/2013, which is the second column, you'll see that there's approximately $95,000 in there. So it's the fund that has the most money that's not it's not tabbed to be used in the near term. When I say near term, within a 2-year period. We will want to pay this back. It will be a goal to pay this back, but unfortunately, part of that goal is going to be having to figure out how to close this operational deficit, and that's for another topic on another day when we start working on our 2014 budget. If you take a look, we showed the building improvement funds, and these were the major funds that had a lot of money in them, that weren't specifically earmarked for things. Most of the funds are small, $5,000 or even less. But Memorials Fund has quite a bit in it, but that's also, they do a lot of stuff, and they're talking about using that money more, so, you know, we don't want to hit that. Church move fund's gonna sit there for a while before we actually move. And then, building fund, if you take a look, less the roof, less the water, you kind of take a look and see, okay, we really only have about $15,000 of cash there in that fund, if we do, when those two projects are done. If you look all the way over to the right, you know, if we take out the deficit money, there's still $77,000, almost $78,000 in the building fund. Hopefully the market keeps kicking butt, and it's really interest that pays for most of this. But, you know, as we all know, markets go up, markets come down, we can't guarantee that. So that's part of the reason why we decided to withdraw on there. Really, I mean, I know a lot of people in this room have probably read the newsletter. That's the easiest solution, is if people that can, if there's 50 people or 50 businesses that can dig deeper, $520 this year, do it. Because it's gonna help us. That will bring in $26,000. Fundraising is just really getting better and better each year. But like last year was a real big year, it kind of plateaus before you hit another big run. They're gonna bring in around that same amount. We've had some bad luck with it, but we can't count on fundraising. We just don't have that big ticket item to cover a $26,000 deficit yet. So the bottom line is that for now, to keep us operational, we need to just withdraw some funds so that we can pay the bills and keep things going. The next discussion is how we attack this will be for the budget season. So that is it.
Dave.
I guess my first question is this money that's being withdrawn, that's to operate this year, that's not to cover the deficit that we have now?
So the question is this money to operate this year? So
Yeah,
treasurer.
I'll just respond to that, yes. We approved a $27,000 deficit at the annual meeting, or actually at the budget meeting in January. And so here we are, we're more than a third way through the year. We have depleted the cash portion of the general fund that was available. So now, technically, the business committee doesn't have authorization to go into a fund to continue to fund that deficit through 2013. So that's really the issue, is that in the past, the general fund was our source of money to offset any deficits. Since these are funds that are designated funds, we needed, that's why we're raising the question now, that the congregation needs to help direct us to which fund do we pull the balance of $18,000 that we need to carry us through our expenses that are not funded by fundraising or pledges throughout 2013. So yes, this just covers us to the end of the year.
I think I have Deb that can.
Question, could we split it? Do 9,000 from both Memorial and the church move?
I'm open to whatever the congregation wants to do. Is that the same for my committee? I don't want to speak for them. Yeah.
Ken?
The 18,000 is supposed to last for the rest of the 9 months, or 8 to 9 months. Is there a reason why you take the whole 18,000 now, if you authorize 18,000, can't you do it quarterly or whatever you need? I mean, that way you could probably manage your money a little bit better.
That's exactly what we're gonna do. That we're wanting to authorize up to what we project our needs gonna be, but we're only gonna take it as we need it.
So, to make sure, so I wanna make sure I understand, so basically, it's to authorize up to 8,000, but we'll just take it as we need it, we may not need the whole 18, but
Right now,
projections are, we're saying, yeah, we
Yes.
need that,
Let
right?
me just talk to that just briefly. At the annual meeting, we review the status of our investment funds, and then we talk about the allocation of those funds. So our money is in one place. So we have investments through the conference, and we also have independent investments. That all rolls up to about $200,000 that we have in liquid investments. The majority of that is in those locations. So to your point, what we've done so far this year, in order to just cover our checkbook expenses, we made a transfer recently from one of our investments that was a fixed interest fund. So we haven't actually moved money from high interest bearing or, hopefully high interest bearing accounts. But we moved $10,000 recently from a fixed interest, like a 2.5% interest fund, just to cover our cash flow needs for the temporary. So as far as investments, that's where the cash is. And to your point, we're not going to move anything until we absolutely need to. And so that's what I'm tracking that as I pay bills. Quarterly, we have a couple of large bills that we have to cover. So I have, at the end of June, I have about a $10,000 payment that needs to be made. So at that point, we'll have to make an adjustment or a decision on where do we get those funds. So that's kind of independent of this discussion of, at the end of the year, when we report out, where did we get the $18,000 we needed to balance the budget? We just need to have a line item that the congregation has approved that says we moved it from this fund into our general fund, essentially, so we can pay those. Hope that helps.
Dave?
Oh,
sorry, Ken.
One more question, yeah. I don't know if it'd be worthwhile to amend this in some way. I know we already got into that once, but it depends on what everybody else thinks about it. I know that since the years I've been here, we've had a faith-based budget, I think every single year. And every single year we have this kind of conversation. Either sometimes we were lucky enough to get enough money raised by people raising their pledges if it wasn't that short, $4,000 or $5,000, but it seems like it's getting a little bit worse. I think sometimes during those budget committees, I don't think people like, okay, we'll figure it out, figure it out. But my opinion is that what they ought to do is when they have these budget committee meetings and they want to approve the $27,000 budget, okay, on faith, I think they should put right into that thing that says, if we do not make this $27,000, okay, you want to vote for this budget, then you have to say right now, we're going to take the money out of it if it doesn't come through faith.
Good idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, we kind of did that this year. We didn't hold people's feet to the fire though. We did bring up saying that if we don't, we started the year before saying our general fund may be depleted. And it would have been $4,000 less going into this year had men's ministry not stepped up last year. But we had actually a budget where we were remarkable. Fundraising, oil expenses were down. We lucked out on the expense side, to be quite frank. So we came in with a budget that was almost neutral. We balanced. So this year we said, listen, we only have $12,000. And I believe we said we'll be back in this time frame. We have to pick a fund if we deplete that general fund if the pledging doesn't follow. So what we didn't do is go the one extra step and say, let's choose right now. We did make a conscious decision in the hopes that we would get the pledging. Now we know we didn't. So I think going forward, well, there's a whole other things. The whole budget thing is going to be looked at a lot differently now going forward. We do not have a general fund. In years past, we've had a general fund.
That's a good suggestion.
I think, see it more in stone when they say, okay, if we do not make this, then we are going to take X amount of money out of this fund, X amount, and let people vote on that as part of the budget.
No, I agree. I mean, I wanted to do it last year, but it was kind of a harsh approach at the time. Now we're in the reality.
Reality's hard. I think Dave Dixon, you had a comment?
I had a question. I wondered if Paul could elaborate for the sake of just enlightening everybody about the church move fund, when it was instigated, how much money was put into it, what was the purpose behind this, and what have we done with that money